A late hello, everybody, from Goosebump Moment Presents. I'm BJ Stevens, the founder of Goosebump Moments, and we've had a moment this morning trying to get everything ready. Um, I'm not sure what goes on because this is a couple of times we've had this issue, but we're live and we're good. And as we say here in the States, we're cooking with fire. So let's not delay this anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about energy savings and a little bit of greener living and how to help the planet and how to help save money, actually, which is always a good thing. So my guest today is Kevin Roach. And Kevin, thank you for coming and thank you for all your patience this morning.
Oh, you're very welcome, BG. Very welcome.
And we have a guest visitor, Ian Reed, which you have seen before on a couple of our broadcasts. Ian's a great supporter, and I do thank him for that. But Ian also shares a very similar industry with Kevin because Ian is also in the green industry as well. So maybe between the two of them, we can spark a really cool conversation going here. Kevin, tell us about your company. Tell us where you're located first. Let's try that. Let's start with that.
Well, the company is called GAELTEL, and it's located up here in the north of Scotland. It's based in a little place called Elgin, and on the coast, north coast. And we help mostly commercial companies reduce their carbon, and then by doing that, we end up reducing their consumption and then their costs. So it's not just it's a business decision to reduce carbon as well as a moral decision.
Okay, you said commercial. So are we only talking about big buildings?
We're talking about big buildings, but we the technologies that are used for the big buildings are generally available to domestic people to either do themselves or do with grants from the government. So, large roofs means lots of solar panels, but people have got smaller roofs, less solar panels, and they can still save money and save the planet by generating their own electricity.
Okay, well, I am going to see if this works. We are going to share the screen. No, that's not going to work. Oh, yeah, here, hang on. Can you see that?
No.
No. All right. Okay. Well, let me just come back then and I'll cancel and we'll just go on. I was on your website earlier and I'm going to read from I was not a good day today. Website disappeared. So you talk about you do energy audits. Let's talk about that because I did see that on the website.
Well, we do energy audits, which case we would do a proper survey on a building, find out where they use their energy, when they use their energy, and we don't charge for that because we've done some work for people in the past who have got relatives or friends in that industry. We'll do the work for it, and they'll get somebody else to do it. We're not really pushed about that because for us, the number one thing in our company is the planet. Customer's only number two, because we're not really interested in just churning people's bills. We're really interested in actually reducing their consumption and reducing their carbon. So we don't charge for surveys, quite a detailed survey. We don't sell one particular product. We can move all the products that are available. We've got the highest number of solutions in Europe, probably the world actually, even just for a small place up in Scotland. So we're not solar panel salesmen that'll sell solar panels, even if your roof's facing the wrong way. If solar panels are the right thing to do, then we'll do it. If it's not the right thing and it's something else like a wind turbine or a fuel cell, then we'll help you with that.
That's very cool, because that was a next question that I have. Because I see, okay, let me back up. When you come in, you do the audit, and let's say you recommend either a cell or a solar panel. Then what's the next process? How do you go about the setups and doing things like that?
Sure. Okay. Well, the next point there is just decide how it's going to be paid for, because with one option is we can, if we do their energy contract with them, very often we can actually absorb the cost of that, and then they can pay it up over the period of the energy contract, in which case they pay usually less than they would have done had they done nothing, because they're now paying for less electricity, just a little bit more for it, but they're paying for less kilowatt hours. And at the end of the contract, all the equipment is theirs. It belongs to them, and they'll get the energy savings from all the years further down. Some people, believe it or not, are still cash rich. So if people just want to buy it, then we can do that for them. We'll just fit it, and they can get the energy and the carbon savings from day one. Some people want to lease it. We can help them with that. And an increasing amount of people, we do a kind of joint deal where we use their roof to keep on solar. We use their roof, our solar panels, and we'll give them a fixed price for electricity for a number of years in the future, which is an easy way to start, as well as no cost, no capital outlay for the customer. But he'll never.
Yeah, and then there can be adjustments. If 5 years down the road they want to switch over and do things, you still can do that.
Absolutely. Our number one concern is the planet.
Right.
So the customer, if it doesn't suit him just now, we can manipulate that over the next few years and do the best thing for him. But the big thing for us is to get reducing carbon as soon as possible.
Okay, cool. Are you allowed to say some of the companies that you have been involved with?
Yes, we have. We've been involved with a couple of big distilleries, beer breweries, salmon factories. If you go to gaeltel.co.uk, there are some case studies there, but one of the sort of big ones, if you like, is a salmon processing factory up here in the north of Scotland. Put a fuel cell in there. They generate all their electricity and their hot water from that, and actually they generate a little bit more at times than they actually use. So they sell that energy back to the grid, and that nets them £50,000 a year in the.
Wow.
Which is an interesting number, but that's £1,000 a week they get back from the energy grid from their overproduction. We put a £350,000 fuel cell in, which will have been paid for over a contract of about 3 or 4 years, and it's worked so well for them that as they built their second factory, we went in at the starting point. We didn't do a retrofit. We were part of the plans. And that's the best time to do it, but it's a bit of a rare opportunity to get in there at the start.
Okay, so now I have a question, because my audience is global. So
Yeah.
does this only pertain to Scottish businesses?
No. We're whole of the UK. We're on both sides of the border in Ireland. We are intending to move into Northern Europe first half of next year. And in the middle of next year, we'll be in America. We've already got people lined up in America, which is something else I need to talk to you about that. But that's a different conversation, BJ.
Yeah, that is a different conversation, but it's exciting because I do know that a lot of American industries are very much interested in energy savings and greener effects. In fact, I told both of you, right here about 10 miles down the road, we have a major global manufacturer of wind turbines. And in the States, Iowa, believe it or not, is one of the leading wind engine states. We have a big farm in the northwestern part of the state that it produces energy all the time. And there's a town just in the north central part of Iowa, right near the border, Minnesota border, that has had wind turbines for the last 10 plus years, and no one in the town has paid a utility bill for 10 years. So I know that I know that this technology and this industry is gaining more and more traction and more attention. So it is a big issue. It's a big process. It's a big place to go nowadays. We're becoming more and more aware of how to save the planet because let's face it, if it goes, we go, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no second chance here.
There isn't. There isn't.
We're involved with some farmers here that have a spare field or a field that they can't really farm,
Mhm.
and we can put solar panels on there. And even just as recent as this morning, I was looking up some details on a domestic wind turbine, which is virtually noiseless and could be put on roofs and with no. I don't think they'll need any planning permission for it, but it's a directional one that will find the best wind all the time, and actually give almost as much power as a normal family house would need. So really, if everybody had one of these, we would drastically reduce the need to be on the grid. And that's the issue, because on the grid we have to pay for it. There's a climate levy. If you're creating your own electricity, then you do not have to pay the climate levy, and you get first go at all the electricity. So people putting a solar panel on their roof makes perfect sense to have a battery to store the any power that they're not using at the time, and they can use that battery. They can use that battery power later on to charge their car or to run the washing machine or whatever.
That is my next question because on the website I actually did notice that you do. Tell me about the electric cars because those are becoming more and more popular.
Absolutely. With an electric car, most people would like to charge them at home. There's lots of different reasons why people can't. You know, if they live in a crowded street or a multi-story car park, it's going to be multi-story flats, and it's going to be a bit difficult to do that. The provision for charging cars in the UK is getting better. There's a recent survey saying that there's an unacceptable amount that are not working at the moment. However, most people would like to fit them. When we do some work in a factory, one of the second questions that's asked is, "Can you put a couple of chargers at the front door?" We're of a mind to ask them the next question to say, "How many cars do you think will be here in 5 years' time?" So we actually put the cabling in for 5 or 6 chargers rather than just do the 2 at the door. We'll put more in so that as and when they need them, we just sit them on top, plug them in, and that's it. We're ready to go.
I have to say my knowledge of EV vehicles are just little to none, but
Mhm.
at the same time, I do know that on our local advertising, um, there's a couple of vehicle manufacturers, especially now over the holiday season, that has been advertising extensively about and promoting their EVs, and subtly, they throw in the charging stations at a local um, uh, gas provider, and
Yeah.
the problem here in this country is that we're so big, and right now the more populated areas are putting those in. In my area, which is extremely agriculture and extremely country, we don't have any electric charging stations. So I think as the popularity grows, or as these charging stations become more available to the public, not just in your home, I think we're going to see a rise in that industry.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, even in Scotland, UK, it's we're always looking. If you're going to buy an electric vehicle, then the first thing you look at is the range, and the range could be up to 350, 360 miles, which sounds good, but that's on a very limited driving. So if you're driving an electric vehicle at the same sort of pace as you would drive a diesel or a petrol car, then it's a lot less than that, because you're traveling at high speeds and using the power up a lot quicker. So you need to plan your journey. One of the journeys I do is about 360 miles, but I would have to break that in half and recharge if I was going to make that in an electric vehicle, which I will do. Um, at the moment, my vehicle it runs on LPG gas, which is half the price of petrol and diesel, and a fraction of the emissions as well. So I'm kind of doing my bit, but I really need to be on an electric vehicle, I think, before too
Okay.
long.
Ian, I'm going to throw you under the bus here. Do you have any questions? Because again, I know you're not with the same companies, but I do know that you share the same passion about this industry. So, do you have anything you want to ask of Kevin?
I know of from the work that I do. I work alongside Kevin and alongside his company from time to time. Well, quite frequently. So a lot of the things that Kevin's talking about are very, very similar to what we're doing anyway. So we have a very close connection.
We're a good. We work quite well together. It's a coincidence that Ian's on the call today, but we know each other very well. And wherever we can't help people, if it's too small, if it's kind of close to domestic usage, then and there's no wiggle room to be able to help them with putting stuff in at no costs and getting it later, then we help Ian. We'll give the stuff to Ian, and Ian can help them as well. So
Yeah.
it's actually quite a coincidence that we're both on.
Yeah.
We're both very committed. Well, we're both very committed, as everybody should be, to the planet, because it's the only one we've got. So that's
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Again, the conversations here in America are getting more and more circled around that, and I do know the industry is picking up a little bit. I'm not an expert in the area, but I do pay attention, and I do keep my ear around to different things, and I do know that I've seen a big uptick in the conversation about global environment, energy savings, greener living, and things like that. In fact, I even know some of our local landfills have been discussing for several years about ways to involve all of this in their processes and how they burn some of the stuff that they have to burn, and in a lot of the recycling area, believe it or not, this energy greener living thing is playing a big role in recycling around the country. So it's an important topic. Okay, did either of you have anything you would like to throw out at the last minute here before we wind this up?
My reason is for doing this with GAELTEL is really to help the planet. I was a hotel manager for 40 years, and this is a nice way. I sort of blend this in with looking after my two grandsons, and you've met them both, BJ. So
Yeah.
albeit on internet stars that they are,
Yeah.
at 5 and 3-year-old. So it's you're doing it. You end up on a different look on life, and you want to leave everything in a little bit better state than you found it.
Right.
And our generation have been pretty poor. They're the ones that have really racked up technology and not been as good to clear up the mess after them. And if I can change that a little bit, then that's great. So all I'm looking for is people that want to just think a little bit differently. It doesn't. I mean, saving the planet doesn't have to cost the Earth, BG. That's the problem.
That is the big thing.
That's my big hook line. Just made it up just now.
Well, we are.
I like that.
Yeah, we are the caretakers of the planet. We're
Absolutely.
given a major responsibility, and because of our past indiscretions, let's say, we have made mistakes, and it is now this generation and the next generation, or maybe two, to see what we can do to better the world we live in. And again, it's not just country by country by country; it's the world, it's the planet, and that's the bigger issue as well. So hopefully, some discussion globally can take place and bring all these countries together, get them on the same dialogue, and get them to work out what we can, the best ways we can do to help save us. I'm not going to be around, but you guys have a few more years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well,
yeah.
okay, on you go.
All right. So, all right, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm going to have to scoot. We're going to have to call in about 20 minutes. I have another interview coming up with a lady that I know Kevin may know. I'm not sure if Ian knows her, but it's the fabulous Annie Page. Annie Page is, in my opinion, a woman I could not have existed with for the last 3 years without. I'm telling you, and she's going to be doing 2 interviews, as Kevin will be. Kevin's coming back. So, Annie, we're going to be talking about one of her diversifications today, and then in a couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about the other thing that's really close to her heart. And then at noon, both of you know this gentleman, Mr. Jim Barker, cartoonist extraordinaire. I'm telling you.
Superstar with a pen.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he's a graphic illustrator, cartoonist. He even sent me a lovely little gift, a Christmas card with a cartoon on it. So I'm excited to interview him. He's very, very experienced, very knowledgeable. He works with greeting card companies, especially here in America. I don't know about over in Europe, but in America, there is a really popular greeting card company called Hallmark. And 1, 2, 3 greetings, and he's worked with them. So this man is no beginner. This man is no schlum, as we say. So I'm excited. So that comes at noon. Jim Barker is at noon or 6 p.m. UK time, and Annie is coming up here in about 45 minutes or 15 minutes. So stay tuned. Everybody, thank you so much, Kevin. I appreciate your time. And you're coming back when? In a couple of weeks?
Yeah, a couple of weeks.
Okay. And Ian, I see you everywhere. You know, I love you. I love you to death. You're my brother from another mother, so we talk about all the time. So thank you for showing up and supporting.
Thanks again.
Kevin. Yes. All right, everybody. Take care. We'll see you in about 15. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.